WHO only recommends the use of masks in specific cases. If you have cough, fever, and difficulty breathing, you should wear a mask and seek medical care. If you do not have these symptoms, you do not have to wear masks.
I'm going to challenge you to ask the question, why? Why is this being censored? Why is it that I have to wear a mask into the restaurant, but then I can take it off when I'm sitting at the table? And then when you eat something, you lift up the face mask, and what the virus says, oh, wait a second, they're eating, when they're eating, we don't touch them, but then when they stop and put the mask on, then we can start our assault again? Remember this. If you wear a face mask, you are restricting your oxygen, you are increasing the amount of carbon dioxide that you're breathing back. The face masks themselves, they've already done studies on the face mask, and you're breathing in the same stuff in and out, so there's actually an increased amount of bacteria that accumulates from what you're breathing. The condensation from your breath is breaking down the polypropylene components of the face mask, and then you're breathing in those toxic components and creating a histotoxic hypoxic injury. You're obviously becoming hypoxic from just not being able to get in fresh oxygen, but then you're also increasing your cortisol levels, and that drives you into the flight-fight response, which is a sympathetic overdrive, and then that suppresses your immune system. And these are all common things. These are all easily proven, published things. You don't have to be a rocket science to understand this. I've even had people try to challenge me on that. Like, how do you know that? I'm like, seriously? It's like saying, well, if I walk out in the rain without an umbrella, you're going to get wet. Or how do you know that? How can you prove that you get wet? Well, okay, if you don't know that water on top of you is going to make you wet, then everybody knows that steroids and cortisol suppress the immune system. It's a fundamental aspect of life. It's a fundamental aspect of physiology. It's just like, how do you know that you need more oxygen? Well, because without oxygen, we die. Okay, so put anything that restricts your oxygen flow is going to cause a problem. And again, all the things that I'm talking about, like the polypropylene components of the mask and all these different things that I'm giving you to empower you with information so you know what's really happening. That's all assuming that it was actually a benefit conferred by the mask. It's not. The pores are so big compared to the particles that they're trying to keep out. As I've said before, it's like building a chain link fence and trying to keep dust particles out. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It just simply doesn't work. And then the people are trying to say, well, for the particulate matter and from breathing aspect, guys, you're increasing your own susceptibility when you wear a mask to every pathogen that's out there, virus, bacteria, spirochetes, mycoplasma, yeast, fungi, parasites, whatever. You are increasing your own susceptibility when you wear a mask. You're stressing your body out. You're making your body weaker. You're making yourself hypoxic. You are more susceptible, more vulnerable to any pathogen, okay? And any person who challenges that, because there are doctors that are arguing with it, besides just being idiots and being liars, you've already compromised your integrity. How do you sleep at night? Okay, it just takes you don't have to be a doctor. It just takes an average person. Put on a freaking mask and put on an oximeter, pulse oximeter, and you'll see your own oxygen levels drop. Especially if you have some type of a restrictive airway issue going on. You'll see it drop within a minute or two.
I've heard from plenty of people on the internet, these trolls who go on and try to attack the work without ever actually looking at the science. And what they have said to me is, well, if this is the case, then why do doctors and nurses wear masks? If doctors and nurses wear masks, then the rest of the public should be wearing a mask because it proves that they're afraid of getting a virus. But that's not true. In fact, the study actually addresses that. Look at this. Disposable medical masks, also known as surgical masks, are loose-fitting devices that were designed to be worn by medical personnel to protect accidental contamination of patient wounds and to protect the wearer against splashes or sprays of bodily fluids. There is limited evidence for their effectiveness in preventing influenza virus transmission, either when worn by the infected person for source control or when worn by uninfected persons to reduce exposure. Our systematic review found no significant effect of face masks on transmission of laboratory-confirmed influenza.
January of 2017, Anthony Fauci told a crowd at Georgetown University that there would be a surprise outbreak during the Trump presidency.
There is no question that there will be a challenge to the coming administration in the arena of infectious diseases, both chronic infectious diseases in the sense of already ongoing disease, and we have certainly a large burden of that, but also there will be a surprise outbreak.
How did he know that in 2017 that something was going to happen in 2018, 19, or 2020? You can't predict the market from 3 days from today, what's going to happen. How did he know that there was going to be a pandemic?
As the coronavirus continues its deadly march across the country, this warning for Americans.
Looking at what we're seeing now, I would say between 100 and 200,000 cases, deaths. I mean, we're going to have millions of cases. Between 100 and 200,000 cases, deaths. I mean, we're going to have millions of cases.
Dr. Fauci should be ashamed of himself. And other medical doctors who are, forwarding this narrative, be afraid, be very afraid, stay at home, lock down, we're all going to die, should be ashamed of themselves. Now, this is one of the problems with conventional medicine, from my point of view. Lots and lots of unrepentant hubris. Doctors never wrong, even when they're wrong. And that's a problem.
Because we're actually seeing the patients. Dr. Fauci hasn't seen a patient for 20 years. I'm just saying, it's in general, a lot of the figureheads are not, it's like the general contractor versus the sub. He's not seeing patients, he's in an ivory tower.
This is immunology, folks. This is microbiology. This is what we've combined together. We have 40 years of experience in this. This is common sense immunology.
So quarantining and social distancing is worse for us, you're saying?
It decreases your immune system. You can't build an immune system by, if someone has a reduced immune system, you hide them away because they can't build an immune system. If you have a normal functioning immune system, you need interaction. It's similar to the flu. If you study the numbers in 2017 and 2018, we had 50 to 60 million with the flu. And we had a similar death rate. The deaths in the United States were 43,545, similar to the flu of 2017, 2018. We always have between 37 and 60,000 deaths in the United States every single year. No pandemic talk, no shelter in place, no shutting down of businesses, no sending doctors home.
That's from the flu, by the way, just to clarify.
So Fauci funded those studies, as you mentioned, to the tune of $3.4 million, but he also funded the cell lines, the monkey kidney cell, it's called Vero E6 cell line, published in the Nature Medicine paper about the emergence of that virus. It's a 2015 paper, came directly from Fort Detrick in Frederick, Maryland, that biosafety level 4 lab known as USAMRIID, U.S. Army Research Institute of Infectious Disease. So Fauci's funding the collaboration between investigators at North Carolina, at Harvard, and at Wuhan, and they're using the cell line, the intermediate host in the case of the SARS-CoV-2 is a cell line, a monkey cell line that they originally obtained from Fort Detrick in Frederick, Maryland's biosafety level 4.
In October of 2019, Bill Gates sponsored Event 201, a simulation that estimated 65 million people killed by coronavirus. In November of 2019, the Purebright Institute, funded by Bill Gates, was granted European patent number EP3172319B1 for a coronavirus vaccine that may be used to treat humans. Bill Gates' father worked on the board for Planned Parenthood, and his mother worked on the corporate board for IBM, who Bill partnered with to create Microsoft. With no medical background, Bill Gates then went on to become the world's foremost pusher of vaccines and population control. Do you think this is all coincidence? The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation funds the WHO, the NIH, the CDC, and the UN. And now he is saying that until we get mass vaccinations, we might never be able to gather in groups.
And which activities like mass gatherings may be, in a certain sense, more optional. And so until you're widely vaccinated, those may not come back at all.
The president's coronavirus response team are all pushing the Bill Gates vaccination agenda. Dr. Fauci is on the leadership council for the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
What about the situation itself? Is it as bad as the media is saying, the whole pandemic?
Oh, no, it's the flu.
It's just the flu?
It's the flu.
That's all it is?
It's the flu.
Wow. Is the media accurately reporting, or is it as bad as people are saying?
No.
It's not as bad as the media is making it out bigger.
In less than 4 months, our government demonstrated how easily people assimilate to guidelines that have no scientific premise whatsoever when you are fearful. In less than 4 months, our government successfully instilled fear in a majority of the population in America that allows them to control every aspect of your life, including what you eat, where you go, who you see, and your toilet paper. And the most dangerous and terrifying part, people are not afraid of the government who removed their freedom. They're afraid of their neighbors, family, and friends. And they hate those that won't comply. It's absolutely terrifying to me that so many people don't question authority. They are willing to surrender their critical thinking skills and independence. They just gave up without thinking, without a fight. Do you know what's coming next? It's just a vaccine. Come on, it's for the greater good. Wait until you're told that you can't enter any store or business without proof of the COVID-19 vaccine. Wait until you can't go to public events or get on a plane without proof of receiving the vaccine. Don't think it's possible? Well, you already allowed the government to say when you can go outside, where you're allowed to go, and accepted a new unproven digital education for your kids in the last 100 days. You followed blindly because you were told to do so. You're kidding yourself if you think the mass behavior won't be repeated with a vaccine or whatever the next step is. I don't follow politics. I don't care about that stuff. I don't think about it. 6 million Jewish people were exterminated in Germany because 97% of the population cowered to populist control. Nobody wanted to think about it. It's easier just to ignore it. But that couldn't happen here in America, right? They got you. Without a thought, without a fight. Just like France, just like Russia, just like China. Welcome, comrade.